Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're diving into something that affects literally every single one of us. We're going to explore how the actual physical hardware of our screens, the glass and the blinding light we just stare into all day, might actually be the root cause of our modern digital fatigue. And more importantly, how we can finally escape it.
Now, I want you to ask yourself something. How often do you feel guilty about your smartphone habits? Like, honestly. We constantly blame our own lack of willpower for all that doom scrolling, right? We just tell ourselves to put the phone down. But what if your willpower isn't the problem at all? What if those vibrant, deeply saturated, backlit LCD screens themselves are the real trap?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the dopamine loop trap, the rise of technoference, the physical toll of LCDs, e-ink as the hardware antidote, grayscale and mental clarity, and finally, reclaiming intentional connection. All right, starting things off with Section 1, the dopamine loop trap.
So there's this fantastic insight from Mudita. They're a company focused on digital minimalism, and it perfectly validates what we've all been feeling. They point out that living our lives just staring at a screen isn't merely draining. It can actually feel totally disorienting. And why is that? Well, because it constantly disrupts our sense of place, our sense of time, and honestly, even our sense of self. We're checking our phones reflexively, just completely drawn in by endless notifications, and we end up losing our grounding in the real world. It's like we're floating in this digital void.
And I love this brilliant analogy from a Reddit user talking about screen addiction. They wrote, if you're trying to break an addiction to sugar, you don't buy worse-tasting sugar, you throw away the sugar. Wow, that hits the nail on the head, right? This perfectly captures exactly why software tweaks, turning on app blockers or desperately setting screen time limits almost always fail. Because at the end of the day, you're still holding a device that is physically designed from the hardware up to stimulate your brain. To actually break the habit, we have to radically change the physical hardware environment itself.
Moving right along to Section 2, the rise of technoference.
Okay, so a fascinating study out of Brigham Young University coined this incredibly sticky term, technoference. They define it as everyday intrusions or interruptions in couple interactions or time spent together that occurred due to technology. I mean, doesn't that just perfectly describe the friction caused by those minor yet constant tech interruptions? It's that exact feeling when you're talking to your partner, pouring your heart out, and they just casually check their phone. It seems super small, but man, it is deeply impactful.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how this plays out, mapping the cascading fallout based on that BYU study. You start with the initial interference from tech. Now, even if it's just a tiny, brief notification, it inherently sparks conflict over technology use. And that conflict, it inevitably spills over, lowering relationship satisfaction, which ultimately leads to lower personal well-being and life satisfaction. Literally, one tiny buzz on an LCD screen sets off this massive emotional chain reaction. It's wild.
Just look at these stark statistics from the study to put this into perspective. 62% of people report tech interrupting their leisure time every single day. 35% face interruptions right in the middle of a conversation. And 33% deal with it during mealtimes. This pervasive, sort of wood chipper effect of our vibrating, glowing devices is literally shredding our intentional connection with the people sitting right across the table from us.
Which brings us to Section 3, the physical toll of LCDs.
According to Nielsen, the average adult spends about 13 hours a day behind a screen. 13 hours! That is more than half your day. And because standard liquid crystal displays, or LCDs, use LED backlights, you are just absorbing high-energy blue light constantly. This causes severe retinal stress. And worse, getting exposed to this light near bedtime actively suppresses melatonin. That's the hormone that induces sleep, so it's completely wrecking your circadian rhythm and robbing you of restorative rest.
So what do we do about it? Section 4, e-ink, the hardware antidote.
When we put these two technologies side by side, the difference is literally night and day. An LCD pushes LED light and high blue light directly through the screen, basically bombarding your retinas. But e-ink, or e-paper, it emits zero light natively. None. It simply reflects the ambient light in the room exactly like a real piece of paper. It is a completely natural, incredibly calming visual experience.
So, the crucial point really comes down to this number right here, 3x. A peer-reviewed study commissioned through the Harvard School of Public Health found that e-ink displays equipped with warm white comfort gaze front lights are up to 3 times healthier for your eyes than standard cold white LCDs. That means you can read, work, and engage for 3 times as long before experiencing the exact same level of retinal cell stress. That is a massive game changer.
And actually, here is a super surprising fact for you. E-ink displays without the front lights turned on can actually be considered safer for your eyes than standard print paper. No way, right? But think about it. Bright white print paper actually contains fluorescent brighteners to make it look brilliantly white, and those brighteners increase blue light reflection. But e-ink, it completely lacks those chemical brighteners, making it just incredibly gentle on your visual system.
Let's look at how this changes our mindset in Section 5, grayscale and mental clarity. I have to share this incredibly powerful testimony an e-ink smartphone user posted online. They wrote, "My brain just stopped sending me the urge to click on one of the colorful icons." Think about that. By simply stripping away the vibrant, saturated reds and blues of a standard LCD screen, you naturally calm your visual system. The muted grayscale completely breaks the dopamine loops that keep you hooked on a traditional smartphone.
These devices create what we call a minimum friction environment. There are no visual animations, no auto-playing reels, and absolutely no FOMO-inducing feeds. The muted tones actively calm your brain down, and the minimalist interfaces are totally distraction-free. These specific, deliberate hardware choices, they actually foster deep thinking. They ensure that your digital tool supports you rather than dictating your attention and completely draining your time.
Now for our final takeaway, Section 6, reclaiming intentional connection.
We really need to remember exactly why this matters. By swapping aggressive, glowing LCDs for reflective e-ink, you aren't just saving your eyes. You're actually protecting your sleep cycles by preserving your natural melatonin levels. And you're drastically reducing that techno-interference tearing at the fabric of your relationships. Basically, you are physically reclaiming your time and your real-world presence.
To make all of this super concrete, the book's Eye Health Guide offers a few really easy habits we can all start doing. First, practice the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, focus on something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It also really helps to actively limit your daily LCD time and keep those glowing screens at arm's length. And finally, try shifting your deep, focused work to e-paper to permanently limit that blue light exposure.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. We spend so much energy fighting our devices, right? Just trying to muscle through with sheer willpower while holding screens that are literally designed to hijack our brains. So, will you continue treating the symptom with willpower, or are you ready to cure the disease by upgrading your hardware? Definitely something to think about the next time you pick up your phone. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.